Welcome to the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast, episode 447. This show is brought to you by Primary Arms, VZ Grips, and TacPack. In this show, we'll be discussing Modern Spartan Systems and possibly some other stuff. As you may know, we showcase guns, gear, and anything else you may be looking for. We do our best to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm Chad Wallace, and with me tonight we have Tony, Rusty, and Marcus. And Marcus is from Modern Spartan Systems. So, Rusty, hit it with our first sponsor.
VZ Grips has been manufacturing handgun grips since 2003 with a reputation for quality, consistency, innovation. Top-tier manufacturing choose VZ Grips. They come in a variety of style, patterns, colors, and manufactured for proprietary G10 micarta and carbon fiber. Available in varying degrees of texture, VZ offers a wide range of grips for all different firearms types. Made in the USA, VZ offers you more than just handgun grips. Feature grip of the week is the Recon 1911 full size.
And
the Recon.
I was going
to the Recon grips.
Yeah, I was going to say the reason I put the Recon in here is because last week or a couple weeks ago you said it was like the round dimples that they do in them, and that's what the Recon grip is, 100%.
Oh yeah, I like them. See, okay, so the Recon, I think I called them golf ball grips is what I call them. Yeah. Here, that's how here's they're so the VZ 1911 grips are seriously aggressive. They're deep cut, tight pack golf ball type patterns. Creates hundreds of small points that dig in and don't let go and make the VZ Recon grips even more functional. We include standard, both a thumb notch and a beveled bottom at no extra cost. We don't recommend these for the faint of heart or those with soft skin. These grips are perfect for hitting the range, competition shooting, or even safe queens. VZ 1911 grips are designed to fit all the most popular full-size model, government, or commander 1911s from Colt, Springfield, well, I should have said that one, Kimber, Les Bear, Dan West Firearms, and many more. Anti-safety cut available for all major types of firearm safeties. If you're looking for a grip to fit a compact officer's model frame, please look here.
They're getting their money's worth tonight.
Yeah, they got aggressives of 5 out of 5. They're made out of G10 micarta and aluminum products. And if you go to our look at our link, the GGR15 gets you 15% off a handgun and rifle grips at vzgrips.com.
Nice.
See, I am stuck between the TISA and the Dan West.
Oh yeah, because
zip the grips I want.
There you go. See,
wait a minute. That's like $1,000 price, or $500 to $1,000 price difference, depending on the model.
Well, he doesn't care.
It doesn't matter. It's just money. it's whatever's in stock.
that I understand. So
I mean, seriously, that's what I can find, because it's Kimber, Nighthawk, TISA, Kimber, Dan West. I mean, that's literally what I'm looking at, because I can't find any of my other turkeys that I've been looking at, like the
Gersons.
With the optic cut high, high point, the high power. That's what I want, but it'll be after Christmas, and I'll grab that one.
Gotcha. So we're into what we did in firearms, and I, however, did nothing. I did finish a review up, so there's a review of the Primary Arms GLX 1-6 over on the website. We'll get to it probably next week for the podcast. Marcus, did you do anything cool in firearms this week?
Well, it's a loaded question. That might even be a pun, but I'm working with some very interesting people that were putting together some really, I would call them disruptive technologies in the firearms market. I'm not really allowed under NDA to talk about some of them, but some of the stuff in general categories is new gunpowders and new new ammo. It's all very unique resin base, and there's a ton of different spin-off products that I'm a part of. So eventually I'll have a lot more stuff to say, but just a lot of product development, business development right now, outside of my regular stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, Rusty, Tony, you guys are up then.
Me, I finished a review up for you the other day. I did one, and I'll let the title of it to be a wait till it comes out before I tell the title of that one. And
am I under NDA?
No, you go ahead and tell it. I don't care.
I don't. I remember it kind of, so it's not worth.
As to be Chinese, it has a nice rack. It's on the Stevens Savage M320 12 gauge. But anyway, I wrote a review. Of course, I'm still in jail out here, in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. So, but other than that, I did nothing.
Gotcha. Tony, you're what's left. Did you bite your tongue?
That's just really rude. My daughter actually shot me a message on IG, and I follow her now. Just to throw that out there.
She says she wants to know where all the back child support is.
Tell her as soon as I come back from the grocery store, I will give it to her mom.
You getting a gallon of milk?
Yeah, I'm getting a gallon of milk and a pack of cigarettes.
Okay.
No, I didn't do anything, but I did speak at the fundraiser for the DC project, which was awesome. So even though I didn't get, and they actually gave away 2 firearms there. So, I mean, kind of close. They gave away a 1022 and a SIG P365. So that was really cool to be part of that. But yeah, it was no pew-pew. Not only during the show last week did I have I'd bitten through my tongue and still made the show, but I had COVID and I was still on the show. Why? Because here at the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review, we ain't wusses.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, a couple
wild horses cannot keep us away.
What was it? A couple weeks ago, I had COVID and I was still here. Tony was still here.
I had COVID, bit through the tongue. Rusty decided to do his Christopher Reeves impression and take a header off a horse. And did it stop him? No. It killed Superman, but Rusty stapled his head closed and went to work.
Exactly.
Got the video to prove it.
Exactly. So I don't even know what to say. Announcements. Our bandwidth sponsor is our friends over at Patriot Patch Co. Don't forget to join the Patch of the Month Club, and you get an awesome patch and sticker and kind of all kinds of cool stuff once a month. Check them out. They always have great stuff over there. Every time I look, I'm like, I don't remember seeing this one. So check them out. We do have our Gun Gear Review t-shirts and the Kilt in the Streets t-shirts on the FRN site. You can find them through the firearmsinsider.tv on the merch tab. Rusty is displaying one of those fine t-shirts right now. He's trying to be a gun bunny, but he doesn't have anything on Tony.
Yeah, I don't have the breastplates that Tony has.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of affiliates and discounts over there also. We have a few new ones. Modern Spartan Systems, GGR15 gets you 15% off. So anything that, Marcus talks about later, you can go over there and get some money off. We also have Rough Cut Holsters, Firearms Insider, for 20% off of their holsters over there. So we added a few for you guys. And neither of those are affiliates, so that's straight discount code. They know we sent you. That's pretty much it. And until next show, ending on the 31st, you can sign up on our website at firearmsinsider.tv/giveaway to win the Primary Arms Classic Series Mini Red Dot. So that's still going. Next week's show, you will hear who won it. I don't know if I'm doing anything creative, on how who's going to draw it, because I really don't want to have to like cut out that many numbers and put them in a hat. So we'll probably do some random generator, or some kid that comes to the door, I'm going to ask them if they pick a number between 1 and whatever.
Okay, Jeffrey.
I know. So, you know what else? Rob's not here, so we don't get a disclaimer today.
You want me to do it? I can do it in Rob's voice.
Oh, yes. Then in that case, you got to do it.
Me. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast and those of the individual co-hosts do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. This is not legal advice, nor should it be considered as such. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows. Now we're going into the main topic and have a discussion with Marcus from Modern Spartan Systems.
But first,
yeah,
Tony, that was as bad as I did it. But first, the main topic sponsor tonight is Primary Arms. And Primary Arms will seek to provide you the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from your favorite brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearm parts, and shooting gear. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, fast shipping, and an expert support team. And if you looked at the show notes or Tony's post or our posts about it, our Primary Arms product of the week this week is the Matrix Arms MX-19 slide. So basically, this is a Glock 19 Gen 3 slide. So I put it in here because we're going to talk about it, but they're $129 for a strip slide with an RMR cut. So those are over there. That's the Primary Arms product of the week. You can sign up for the Primary Arms newsletter and more by going to frn.deal/PA. And if you use the coupon code FRN, you will get a free Expo Arms M-Lock barrier stopping device when you order an Expo Arms Combat Series 5.56 chrome-lined barrel. Now we can get into Marcus with Modern Spartan Systems. So, thanks for coming on, Marcus. As you know, I did a few weeks ago, I did a review of some of your products. So, that's part of the reason you're on. So, I'm going to ask the general questions, not what Modern Spartan Systems is yet, but I'm going to ask how you got into firearms to start with.
That's a good question. Thanks, Ed. I appreciate being on and enjoy you guys. Just Tony, Rusty, it's nice meeting you guys for the first time. I've always liked technologies and new technologies, and I'm a little ADD when it comes to different things. And I've worked, my superpower is that I've been able to build relationships with people that I say are about 20 times smarter than me. And they're just geniuses in their realm and innovative people that have different technologies. And there's a few people that came in because of this industry that I got into, but one of them was a friend of mine. He unfortunately passed away, but he's probably one of the smartest people on the planet. Like Einstein-like. And, he had developed some of the technologies, the friction reduction technologies that we use in our products. And initially, it was designed for manufacturing and for engines and vehicles. And other people that I was working with have military backgrounds and very heavy firearm involvement. And I introduced this to them, and we modified the technologies to be specific for firearms. And then I brought other technologies, chemical technologies and things into it. And it was just something that kind of evolved and was a lot of fun. And I really liked this industry. We're in a few other industries too with other things that I do, but I really like the firearm industry because I think the people their mindsets are in a general agreement with how I think. Patriotic, love the country, They love their family, their God, Bible, Jesus-oriented people, and honest. There's always bad people in every industry, but in general, the people, I get along with them, and I really liked this. And so I developed a lot of my company because I like this industry.
That works for me. So now that we got your general, how you got into all this stuff, you can give us the, long elevator spiel. We're riding some, 200-story building or something on, on Modern Spartan Systems.
Okay. Well, I know people get bored with too much information, and I tend to be a little long-winded, but we'll go somewhere in the middle. So Modern Spartan Systems is a green chemical company. And what I usually tell people is when they hear green chemistry, people like green. They don't like the political connotations, but they like the idea of something that is safer. And if you get kids or dogs or pets or wives in the firearm industry, that they don't want you cleaning guns in the house. In general, people want green, but they usually don't work that well. Our green stuff is phenomenal. It's so much better and different than any of the non-green products, and completely different than the green products because of what the performance benefits our stuff does. So we're in, of course, the firearms industry, and then we get stuff for fishing reels, for knives, plated things, or stuff for engines and vehicles, and we get stuff for manufacturing. And then recently, I had worked with specialty coatings for many years, and I took a relationship that came up. The opportunity came up to introduce specialty coatings into industrial, commercial applications, aerospace, all kinds of different things, but in particular for the firearm industry. So we now introduced our Duty Coat brand, which is a Modern Spartan Systems brand, but these are effectively Cerakote coatings on steroids. And I say that because my partner was the one that developed all the Cerakote coatings. And when the non-compete ran out, he asked me if I wanted to work with the new coatings. So these are called polysilazine nanoceramics, and there's huge advantages for the end user and huge advantages for the applicators. So we're just starting that. So now we've, in general terms, chemistry and specialty coatings.
Gotcha. So I do have, I'll let you get into the products here in a second, but Matthew in the comments ask a question and wondered about some of the products for like bike chains and gears on bicycles. I'm guessing pedal bicycles, but also motorcycles, I'm assuming.
Yep. Because of our friction reduction and our chemical cleaning technologies, there's huge opportunities in multiple industries that I just haven't had the time to pursue the relationships. And I am interested at a certain point in getting in them. I've had people that have played with our stuff and asked me, and then I've helped them to figure out how to use it. And the feedback for pedal bikes, race bikes and BMX and leisure bikes and things like that has been phenomenal. They love the cleaners, and we've got things that clean off the debris and things like that they would have to deal with. And then we have the lubrication technologies, and the advantage of that is that the lubrication is about 90% less friction than anything on the market. I mean, it's a huge reduction in friction compared to anything, and it leaves a low stick surface. So when it's done right on bike chains and gears and those types of applications, the things where you're riding over, because it becomes not sticky, becomes almost like a dry lube. Things don't stick to it. So it works really well on pedal bikes. And in motorcycles, I can tell you, I guess some I can tell you, there's a major motorcycle company that has been testing our TBT green engine oil additive for a very long time. And because of the supply chain issues, they're having to deal with other stuff, but we effectively solved some big problems for them. And as long as something doesn't have a clutch plate in it, and a lot of motorcycles do, so you have to know kind of where to use it in motorcycles, but it works phenomenally well in motorcycles. And I'll give you a quick example. I had a friend that had he's got a pretty good sized company, construction company that services the ethanol industry. And he buys our stuff by the barrel, the TBT green engine additive, and he uses it in all kinds of different applications. And one of the things that sold him on it initially, I had given him some product, and he had a Harley Davidson bike that was vibrating so much he would not allow anyone else to ride it. And so he put our stuff in there, rode in like a big circle about a mile. By the time he came back, the noise and the vibration, there's some that you like, right? That's good vibration, good noise. This was like not that kind of stuff, but the bad vibration and noise was gone by the time he came back, and he let people, his kids and stuff, start riding the bike. So either way, it can work really well.
Gotcha. Now I had a question, just because I don't think I did a great job in the review explaining the molecular bonding that the oil, or at least the oil that you have for guns, the accuracy oil, does. So could you give me a better explanation? Or at least our listeners, because some of them may want to hear this. Others might be, okay, it's slick, I'll use it. You know, some care less than others. So.
Okay. No, that's a good question. And the answer is the chemistry, the oil and our grease have the molecules in them. So the oil and the grease are specially designed to carry the molecules to the metal. The molecules will molecularly bond onto the metal, and it doesn't change the metal, but it changes the surface structure on the metal. And it, like I said, cuts the friction by about 90%, and it leaves a low stick surface. So it's a very stable, they're very stable molecules, and the bonding is very noticeable on like the smoothness of the guns. Anything you put it on, even you can put it on simple things like door hinges or things like that you know is real squeaky, and it's a wicking oil. So that's how we designed the carrier oils and stuff to be. So it'll wick, and the molecules will go where they need to go. Most of the bonding happens pretty quickly. And we tell people when they're doing in their barrel, and most people go, you can't put oil in a barrel. Ours, again, remember, the oil is just a carrier, so we're trying to get the molecules in there. So we tell people to do a one-time extra conditioning on the barrel, where they'll clean everything with their cleaners, like everything in the gun, and then they lube everything in the gun, even the trigger system through the tip of the barrel. And you'll notice right away in the action moving parts how smooth it's going to be. But in the barrel, you do that, and then when you go to the range or go out shooting, you shoot like 2 or 3 rounds, you reapply accuracy oil into it, shoot again, reapply again, do that a total of 5 times. And that's what it takes to kind of dose or saturate the metal to get 100% coverage. Barrels is a little different because of what happens in it. But if you had a baseline of how you're grouping or any of your chronograph numbers, you'll pretty much almost always see velocity go up, and your standard deviation and spread rate, those numbers get better. And a lot of times, especially on factory barrels, you'll see the shock groups will tighten up. And if someone wants kind of a good understanding of a good explanation of this from a gun expert. Another, you guys are gun experts too, but Rex Tibor, Rex Reviews, just did a podcast review of it. Did a really good job of explaining what happens, of how the chemistry affects the metals inside the barrel. But kind of the bottom line is friction is the enemy for firearms, and we kill friction. So when you do that, it's like enhancing the whole performance of your gun in so many different ways that nothing else can actually do. So the oil goes away, the molecules stay. When you clean the gun the next time, you just do a light coat of oil just to replace any lost molecules, and you keep that gun optimized. So it's really a molecular bonding onto the metal, and it's very tangible, especially in some guns. It'll show up, more dramatic, even to the point that if you have, because the bonds and the molecules, to explain it better, are so powerful. If you had something with rust on it, corrosion, and you put that on there, and it depends how bad it is, it might take more or less time, but it would wick where it needs to go, and then it will break up the corrosion. It'll displace the oxidizers. And so when it does that, it frees up the corrosion. So you're really not only protecting, but you're cleaning the corrosion off of something with the lubricant. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it, like, by leaving it on there, the molecules bond to the metal, and they because it will wick under between cracks, so to speak, it will wick under the rust and then loosen it up from the bottom to help, so that if that's how I understand it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, the rust is, there's different ways to look at rust, but the molecules that are causing the oxidation of the metals, you want to get those out. That's like your source of the problem. So you get the chemical conversion of whatever metal with the oxygen, and you get the rust, right, or the corrosion, right, depending on what metal it is. If you can get at the base of that, and that's what our stuff does, it kind of displaces it and gets rid of it. And you're not talking about dimensional things. You're talking maybe 1/1,000,000th of an inch. So it has zero impact on diameters. It's just too small.
Right. So now I do have a question, like with the accuracy oil, you were talking about the barrel. So by the barrel heating up, does this, I would guess that helps with opening the pores up and making it, the oil or the molecules in the oil attracting into the metal, kind of, because then when it cools off, they're kind of contained in there. Is that something you see?
Yeah, when you heat metal, it expands, right? And so if you've got kind of more surface area, you got more area for the molecules to bond into. And then once they're bonded, this is kind of a weird analogy, but I just thought of it. Like if you're breading a fish fillet with flour and you want to go through it in a deep fryer, right? You put the flour on top, and then if you kind of move the fillet around, you can see some of the parts aren't covered. So you kind of bend it, twist it, and you get more of the flour or the cornstarch, whatever, on there. So you're kind of covering it, the whole thing. So you're effectively, with the heat, is kind of doing that to the metal at a certain level and allowing more molecules to bond onto more of the metal.
So like if you had like
a good analogy or a weird analogy? I'm hungry, so I'm thinking about dinner.
It's both, I think. So like if you had like an AR-15, like the bolt carrier assembly, you could theoretically like clean it off, of course, hose it down or put a bunch of oil on it, and then like stick it in the oven at 250 degrees or something, and it would maybe help that.
I do have people that do that. So again, kind of the effect is you're expanding the metal with heat and allowing more molecules to bond on. And then the molecules don't stack. So it's like you can't have a buildup where it gets thicker. That's not how it works. It's just covering the surface. And then if you lose a molecule due to shooting, or you'd have to grind it to get stuff all the way off. And that wouldn't even be easy to do, probably not impossible to do, but you will lose some molecules, so you replace them. But I mean, the effects on there are pretty phenomenal. It's really, again, just about cutting the friction with the molecules. And if you did the process you described, that is a way to do it. Most people, we just tell them to shoot. And then the good thing with your shooting, if you've got your baseline numbers on your firearm, like how it's grouping, and depending on the ammo and stuff, what your velocities are and your chronograph numbers. Then when you put it on, so it's like once our stuff touch it, it's no longer a virgin. And then you can see what it actually does. And by your fifth shot group is in terms of accuracy, you should see something. And I say Rex did his testing, and he's a stickler. He doesn't do anything unless he believes it and he knows it and proves it factually. On the factory gun that he did, he said it was a perfect candidate, and it brought the shot group down over 50%. I think it's 53 or 54%, on the measurements.
Nice. Yeah, I know you'd sent me that. It's pretty lengthy, like a 30-minute video or something, but it was definitely interesting. And let's see. So that answered that question. I know from doing the review and you sending me samples that you have a lot of, like, you have Carbon Destroyer and the Copper Lead Destroyer stuff, which are like cleaning products for the firearms. And they are, I will say that the Carbon Destroyer works fantastic, or it did for me. But what I really did like about them is that they don't smell, especially like the Copper Lead Destroyer, and because I'm old, I think all of us are old enough here to remember the potent ammonia cleaners of days gone by. And so, it's nice that they have little to no odor for the most part. And so I thought I'd throw that out there. And I'm sure Rusty and Tony probably have a few more questions.
I do. I want to. So you were talking about like the oxidation or the rust. So I have a Henry. I got just two-parter. I have a Henry 22 lever action that may have got a little wet at one time.
When Rusty fell down into the creek, probably.
No, it's a different incident, but got a little rust around the end of the barrel where it's been shot, and then a few other little places. So what product would you have that I could clean this with that would take that off without me having to take steel wool and re-blue it, that I could take and clean it, that you were talking about wicking to clean it?
Yeah, I would probably use either the Carbon Destroyer or Copper Lead to do the kind of initial surface clean. And when you use either of those products, whether it's for this application or just general cleaning, and this goes for anybody's chemistry, but you want to let the chemistry do the work. So when you put it on something that's rusty like you're describing, then what you would want to do is kind of like a medium amount and let it sit for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then scrub it and just take off as much surface stuff as you can. And then what you want to do is you put the accuracy oil on there and just let that sit. And it might take, if it's a little bit of rust, it might take it off pretty quick. I mean, I get feedback from people with different situations. An extreme situation that someone told me about was that they found a firearm in the swamps down in Louisiana, and they said it was just so corroded they thought it was just garbage. But someone told them about our accuracy oil, and they decided to get some, and they soaked it in there, put a lot on. I don't think they dunked the whole thing, but whatever, they put a lot on there, let it sit overnight, and it ended up, they said the bottom line is now that gun is like brand new. You could never tell it had corrosion on it.
See, that's my next question, because Um, I've got an 1858 Army revolver, black powder, that wasn't cleaned and was put back into a leather holster. And when it was pulled back out, it was rust. And so, besides soaking it in kerosene for a year, this is something I need to use. I need this.
Don't smoke around there. Don't smoke.
No. That's the last thing I need is my face burn off. I took a long time to get this gray beard. So that was my next question. That and muzzle loading in general. I looked and I could not find anybody who'd use this product on muzzle loaders because I'm going home and our muzzle loading season starts up in Tennessee the weekend I get in, and I'm really good. Besides that one time, may or may not have not cleaned that 1858 revolver, but I'm usually really good, and I usually use like an organic based citric cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Will this be a better choice for me to clean my muzzle loaders with?
So, interested to answer. The quick answer is absolutely. The carbon destroyer was designed to replace the high VOC solvents that they were using to clean the gun ports and the engines of fighter jets. The decision makers wanted a green product. Again, green usually not too good, right? This stuff does a phenomenal job of cleaning any oil-based or grease-based products, including things as strong as cosmoline. So you're cleaning with a water-based product, what's called a microemulsion, meaning that oil and water are combined. And then the chemistry is meant to use at ambient temperature. You can use it in an ultrasonic, and it will work phenomenally. If you took your gun and you put it able to put it in an ultrasonic tank, and just don't turn the heat on, it'll break the chemistry up at about 140, and you don't need the heat. It'll just melt all that carbon off. Again, it's kind of like cleaning with gasoline, except that it's a green safe, kind of like what Chet was saying. It's not a really smelly product. It's a relatively benign. It's got a little, to me, it's like a little Windex-y. Is how I would describe it. But that'll get all the carbon out, and then to really bring that thing back, if there is rust in there, then again you got to use the accuracy oil, let that sit, and maybe because it's an old gun, maybe it might take overnight or something. But if you work it in, I guarantee you, with our chemistry, you'll be able to bring that gun to pretty much to brand new. You'll be I've had people do this. They're like, I got a gun from my grandfather, and it was like it's never been cleaned ever. And they worked on it, and they call me back and they say it looks like a brand new gun. We can't even believe it works like this. So
this is my new project now.
Well, and on the muzzle loaders, we don't have a lot of attention on there, which is kind of funny, because muzzle loading is a lot of cleaning and a little bit of shooting. We flip that around with our chemistry with a little bit of cleaning, and you only need the two products with that because you just have carbon. So you use the carbon destroyer to clean it out, and you condition with the accuracy oil. And what happened is you get a lot more shooting and a lot less cleaning. And then when you go back to clean again, it'll take a lot longer to get dirty. And then when you go back to clean again, you use our chemistry, it'll just come off so fast. You'll be saving so much time on there. You'll be shocked, and your accuracy on your muzzleloader will improve quite a bit, is my guess.
Because one of the problems I always seem to have is the breech plug on a lot of the inline muzzleloaders. After you shoot a while, that breech plug gets seized up in there because it's all the carbon from the powder decks is in there. So I was thinking maybe like, the accuracy grease or the accuracy oil or something put on the threads when you screw it in. That would be something to help it easier to take back out.
Yeah, what you want to do is clean it so it looks nice and clean and down to bare metal. And by the way, if you want to do kind of a fun experiment with any kind of gun parts that you're cleaning, clean with whatever you normally clean with in the way you clean it. And then put the carbon destroyer on there and let it sit for a few minutes. Now, it's water-based. You don't want it to dry out. But if you put it on there, a lot of times you'll see more gunk coming out of the metal. And people go, what's that? I said, well, your other cleaner cleaned the surface. We're pulling stuff out that's in the little micro pores of the metal. So we're getting like a deep clean in there. So you want to do that on that area. And then you put the accuracy oil on, and then put a little bit of grease on there, just a little bit of extra grease, and you'll see that problem will go away.
Okay, I have a suppressor, a 22 suppressor that is user serviceable. Is this okay for that?
Yeah, we've actually developed a product called Suppressor Shield, which is the Carbon Destroyer 2X, another product called Nothing Left, which is the Carbon Destroyer 2X is like a double strength, because a lot of carbon that's been built up on suppressors and compensators is pretty tough. Now, if it's too bad on there, you might have to have it, blasted or something to get it off. But if it's cleanable, the Carbon Destroyer 2X will get it off. If it's not too bad, you can dilute that down to regular strength, 50-50 with water. And then you use a Nothing Left, which has a zero residue after once that's off. And then you heat the metal, and you can just do it in an oven, maybe like 250 degrees for 10 minutes. And then you use the accuracy oil that's in the kit. And when you pull that out with some tongs or something, and then just coat it with the accuracy oil, let it sit for half an hour or overnight, whatever you want. And then come back and recapture any extra oil so you're not wasting it, and wipe it off. And now you get that low stick surface on there. And that kit has got people really like that because it does work. It makes it clean up really easy, and you could use it not just as a clean up really easy, but you could use it indefinitely so you can maximize the performance of the suppressor, indefinitely.
Yeah, I like the sound of that because I have two different suppressors I like to run. One's a 30 caliber can, and the other one's a 22. So they get pretty dirty.
Yeah, I know the 22s are pretty nasty. So yeah, you would see difference a lot of times once you get the accuracy oils on there. You'll see like the carbon sometimes will build up, and you can either wipe it off with a towel, or sometimes it'll just flake off while you're shooting. Like it's got it's built up, but it's not really stuck to the metal. It's kind of like trying to burn an egg in a frying pan. It's coated with Teflon, right? It's not Teflon, but you get the idea. So it's can be on top of it, but it just comes off super easy.
Okay.
Gotcha. Tony, you got any questions before I ask?
Yeah, it works really well, Russ. I got it clean, Russ.
Yeah.
You're welcome, dude.
That's what it used to look like.
I used the accuracy oil on it. I dropped by your house, and I picked it up, and it looks brand new. You can thank me later.
Okay. So
feed the dog?
No, actually, no. Reason I brought this out was because I actually have some rust on my cylinder. I shot a competition with this, and it was one of those, I'll clean it when I get home. You shouldn't do that, by the way. And I got some rust spots on it, so I have some of this here. So I guess I'll use it on there, and let's see what happens.
You can put some on now and just see what happens while we're in it. Because sometimes it's not, if it's just more surfacey, it'll take it off kind of quick. Just depends. It might. You know.
See, Tony. Now rub it in, Tony.
Hey, calm down, dude. This is not that kind of show.
So while you're doing that, and
now we're doing a carbon destroyer, right?
Use a carbon destroyer to clean off the carbon and that kind of contaminant, and then just put the accuracy oil, after that. But look, when you do the carbon destroyer, let it, kind of work it in and let it sit for a couple of minutes. Let the chemistry do most of the work, and then put that accuracy oil on there. And I've been on the phone with people while they're using stuff, and they're like, "You just took the rust off." I'm like, "Well, that's pretty quick." So,
Marcus, I have a question. Did I read somewhere that your product was used in setting the world record for the 5,000 yard mark?
yeah, my friends, Brad Starr at Performance Guns and Charlie Melton, I call him Uncle Charlie, did a 5,025-yard shot, and we're a part of that. I don't know if other people beat that record or not, but when they told me what they were doing, I said, we know they know because their guns group at like an eighth of an inch. The Tejas rifles and stuff are pretty, pristine, but at 50 football fields away, that makes a difference. So we get to be part of that record, and both of those guys fully endorse and love our products. So, and they did a 6,000-yard shot, but they had some kind of equipment malfunction, so they were actually shot out even further than that.
I do a 600.
Brought it down to a quarter MOA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people have tested our stuff and they doubt it, and I understand that, but they don't understand. They think oil's bad, and it is. But we're not talking about the oil. The oil is just bringing the molecules to where it needs to go. So I'm just making the tool. We can't make the shooter better. We can make the tool better. And these guys are some of the best people. And I guess I could probably say it, even though we're not official yet. But Rob Furlong is, I believe, going to be coming on board with us. And Rob is he's the Canadian Chris Kyle. He's one of the top long distance shooters in the world. He's got the world record registered sniper kill shot of a bad dude. So he's been using the products and love them too. You get guys like Rex, and there's a lot of people that are really good shooters that have proven the stuff out. But yeah, Charlie and Brad are really thorough, really smart, and really good at what they do.
I've met Charlie and talked to him before, and he's a great guy and he knows his stuff. And so, yeah, he's one of those people that if he's using it for any reason, it's probably worth it. And it's, of course, my opinion. Now, while Tony's doing his cleaning and seeing if it works, I'm gonna ask about duty coat. Now, kind of just explain it, because I think for people who don't want to do like Cerakote because it's a 2-part system and stuff, I think duty coat might be right up a lot of people's alley.
Yeah. Duty Coat is the brand for our specialty coatings. Again, these are true nano ceramic, and these are called polysilazine nano ceramic. My partner has developed this stuff, is probably the top person in the world. Our different versions of the chemistry and specialty coatings are used by companies like SpaceX and the DoD projects and Boeing on rockets and really high-end things, a lot of components. We can do a lot to control heat, wick heat away or hold heat in. Some of the stuff is used in racing engines and vehicles and, say, manufacturing. And then there's super slick coatings. And then, so we're working with all those, but that you cannot see that on the site. We're figuring out who and where we want to work with. But the gun coatings under the Duty Coat brand, which is a Modern Spartan brand, the Duty Coat, the gun coatings are called, the main color code is called Monster Tough. And it is monster tough because it's effectively an ambient air cure, 30 minutes dry to touch, single component coating. It's a thin film. And I say thin, that's the only problem people have on the learning curve how to use it. It goes on 1/2, basically 0.4 to 1 mil thick. You don't want it thicker. You want it right at that just enough to cover up the color on there. It's hard to get it that thin, but when you get it and the spread rate's good, and it becomes the tougher it takes. You can handle the product typically in about 30 minutes. It's like, say, dry to touch. You can handle it, move it around, package it. You don't want to abuse it, but it takes 5 days to fully cure. And at that point, you can abuse the heck out of it. And you'll see it's going to be really hard to scrape off or scuff off. And it can handle, without deterioration, probably enough heat to be direct flame, probably 2,000 over 2,000 degrees, which you're not going to have to worry about on a gun. But that means you could coat suppressors and even barrels and things like that if you really wanted to. So it's tough. And then we get a super primer, which an applicator that does, if it's a professional applicator or private guy or manufacturer that's wanting to get into this, the super primer, instead of having to put your second color code on if you're doing camo patterns or that type of stuff, you typically have to blast the area. This, you just wipe it on at like literally 2 to 3 microns, like almost not there, right? And then you get a 10, 15-minute window to put your second color code on, and you're going to get 100% cross-link adhesion. So that stuff is going to bond right on top of it. And you can even use that super primer or something. You can put it on over just about anything. And so that makes it really easy and a lot less labor to do that. And a single component is important because if you're having to mix 2 different components together, you're never going to get the exact ratio. So when you're coating a gun, you want to put in enough so that you don't run out. Because if you have to re-pour, you're going to get slightly, probably a little bit. You can get really close, but it's be a little bit different color, a little different shade, right? But if you can do it in a single component, you can put plenty in there, and whatever's left over, you just pour it back into the container, wipe it down, seal it up, and you're good. So it's much more efficient with the product. And we also get 2 coatings. One has got texture to it, and one that's smooth, and it goes on clear right over your other coatings. And it's a non-skid, non-slip coating, meaning that it activates if there's sweat or rain or water, and you get a moisture where your hand might typically want to slip. It activates the coating. It doesn't make it sticky. It just makes the hand not slip.
Interesting. That sounds kind of cool, just by itself.
Yeah, and these are good for you can use some of this stuff on not just on firearms, but you can use it on knives and bows and things like that. And we do have specialty coatings also for knife blades to keep them sharper longer, and non-slick coatings that can go onto that can be used on bows to go over the tips of the arrows so they pull out real quick and easy. And yeah, there's some pretty unique coatings, and that's on the Duty Coat, which is DUTYKOTE.com website. And people that are using it are really liking it so far.
Nice. And links to that and Modern Spartan Systems are in the show notes. So whoever's listening, you can always go over there. Of course, if you search for it, I'm sure you can find it. Tony, Rusty, you got any more questions for Marcus?
I do. The TVT automotive oil. I drive a diesel, and don't make fun of me. It's an eco diesel in my Ram, but I'm real funny about my fuel mileage, and it's something that I think, because I pull a lot of trailers between my camper and my horse trailer and various other things, and I was really curious about that. And then I have farm equipment that I would like to try this in and to see how that, so explain to me how this works. So
this chemistry, the core product molecules are similar to the gun stuff, right? But this is brewed up for engines and vehicles and gearboxes. And so what it does, and you can put it in any kind of an engine, all the way up to heavy equipment and tractors and stuff like that, cars, trucks, ATVs. You could use it really effectively in generators. And what it does is it will bond onto when you pour it in there's different places you can use it. Obviously in a car or a truck, the primary place is to put it into the engine. And initial application goes on about 2 ounces per quart, which is about 6%. And the molecules will bond onto the metal. And which is kind of a fun thing for people to do is, and it depends on the vehicle, but some vehicles, when you pour it in, if you had the engine running, you could actually tell that it's working because the RPMs and the motor, it just changes and you go, oh, this stuff is working. You can hear it smoothing it out. So a lot of that bonding happens within the first 30 seconds to 3 minutes, maybe an hour for everything to work its way into every place. But what's happening is it's cutting the friction. And it's also, again, this is also displacing, just like the corrosion, it's displacing the gunk that's in there. Like that's all the inside of the engine's coated with all kinds of, carbon and crud and everything is displacing that. So the first thing, again, you notice is maybe it might sound better, and especially a diesel, because they tend to be a little louder. It'll a lot of times quiet them up. But it cuts the friction. And so you can tell your fuel mileage, which is probably the most important thing, especially with this ridiculous, fuel prices, is usually 5 to 10%. Sometimes it's more. Just depends on the vehicle and how the person drives and things like that. But it almost always improves fuel mileage. And then, again, it's cleaning it out. So when you go to change the oil the next time, and by the way, you can easily you could probably easily triple your oil life, but people feel a little bit nervous around that. So we just say, you could easily double the oil life, instead of 3,000, do 6,000 and change it out. But when you change it the first time, you'll see the oil is filthy, and the filter is going to be loaded up with gunk and metal and things like that. And we had people testing it. Patriot Clean Fuel did third-party testing, and they didn't know really what to expect. They didn't ask the right questions, and maybe I didn't explain things well. But they had all the oil tested, lab tested, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, everything is so dirty in there." I said, no. I said, the dirt was already in there. I said, we're cleaning it out. And so so that's what happens on that first time. It's really cleaning it out, cutting the friction, fuel mileage goes up, and and then again, you can tell by heat, right? If you're pulling tractors and stuff, it should keep the engine running cooler. And there's a very interesting thing that happens because the lubricity is now in the metal, right? It's in the oil, but it goes from the oil into the metal. If you lost your engine oil and you had this running in there, you could probably drive your vehicle for maybe a couple 100 miles with no oil in it. And I'm not recommending that, but I tell you, we've had people test it. We've had people do it. And I'll tell you one kind of cool story. A long time ago, we had sponsored the big wheel trucks, the giant monster trucks. There was one called Take a Bite Out of Crime. And so our guy was using the product in there, and they were at one of their events. And someone else's truck, something happened, it threw something and a hole punched in the engine, and they lost all the oil. And they were freaking out. They didn't know what to do. So they just said, well, we're going to lose the engine. So we're just going to tell the crowd what happened. And we're going to blow the engine in front of them so that it gets, a little bit of mileage out of it. And our guy said, no. He said, no, we can save that. And they laughed at him. And he had a bottle of the TVT. And he said, bandage up that little hole. And I don't know how they did it, but they bandaged it up. And they had no oil in there, right? But they poured one bottle, a 16-ounce bottle of the TVT in. And these guys thought it was a joke, but they They said, hey, we're going to blow the engine. This had this stuff in there. They couldn't blow the engine, and they ran that truck the whole rest of the show until they could change it out. But only because that product got in there and saved that truck. Otherwise, they would have had a real problem with that engine.
Gotcha.
So I have I have a tractor. It's an older Ford, and I dropped the oil pan on it. Well, I was getting ready to drop the oil pan. I pulled the dipstick out, and I noticed a lot of brass down there from the bearings on the dipstick on the oil. So I'm going to have to drop the oil pan off of it, which, a lot of the tractors, if anybody's farm boy, they're part of the frame, and we're going to roll new bearings into it. So could I just change the oil and put this TVT in there and try to run it and hopefully save me some time without having to change the bearings and it bond back in and give me more time and life with my tractor?
Is it so? I'm not a mechanic. Is it a clutch? Have clutch plates, or is it just no clutch plates? Like if you don't want friction, our stuff is great. If you want some friction in there, then you don't want our stuff.
Oh, there's no clutch plates in.
Then the answer is probably yes. You could use it and will probably extend the life on that because it'll stop the wear. So I think that would be a really good application and a good way to kind of test and demo personally for yourself to see what it does.
Well, I'm really liking the sound of it because how the new diesels regen themselves, how they take the turbo and the EGR and they take the exhaust and run it back through the engine. They're just dirtying the engine back up by putting the carbon and the exhaust back into the engine again.
They're reburning more better burn.
Yeah. Then it just after a while it just builds back up in the cats and it just blows back out anyway. So I'm thinking this stuff would really be good in my truck to kind of save the life and clean the engine out.
Does that thing have a DPF system on it?
Yes. God, it cost me $3,400 here a few months ago to replace it.
Okay, so here's the deal. You can use it in the engine, but what we tell people is you can also use the TVT in the best second place that you can use it is in the rear differential. You can also use it in the transfer case in the front differential. And then you can also put it in a manual transmission. If you had but that's not too common. It will work there, not an automatic, but a manual. And you can also put it in the fuel, gas or diesel. However, if your truck has a DPF system, I will say do not put it in the fuel because it's possible that it could coat the sensors, and then we don't want that problem.
Yeah.
But you can put it in the engine for sure.
Yeah, I just spent like one sensor on that Dodge was $3,400. They replaced the whole depth tank and sensor for that one.
I know you're not supposed to do this, but there are people that will remove that problem for you.
Oh yeah, I've already checked into it, but you can't. It's supposed to be a farm truck after that. You can't drive it on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell the EPA.
Yeah.
Hopefully the EPA will change when the politics in our country change, which will hopefully be really soon. But yeah. So yeah, I think you'll like it. A lot of diesel guys, I've had people say that they've had such a reduction in noise that I had one trucker that put it in the little cab engine, and he called me up and he said, "You ruined my sleep." I said, "We what?" He said, "You ruined my sleep because I put that stuff in that motor in there." And he said it was so quiet. He goes, "I'm used to the noise, and there was no noise." And he goes, "It's hard for me to fall asleep." So, I think you'll notice it. It's some really, really good benefits to it.
Nice.
And it'll make stuff last longer, right? If you don't have wear, things last a lot longer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So so where can people find you, Marcus?
They can go to www.modernspartansystems with an S.com. And I know we set up a coupon code, Chad, for you.
Yep.
For your people.
It's GGR15 gets you 15% off.
Yeah, so they can just go to the website. And I know if people search us out on the internet, you'll see what other people say, and a lot of positive stuff out there too. Because I work with a lot of engineers, and engineers are like the worst people and the best people. They're the worst people because they doubt everything you say. They're the best people because once they understand it and it makes sense to them, they're like your biggest fans. So, so you see a lot of people that are doubters, but when they kind of see it and they understand it and it makes sense, and even just watch some of the videos where we show cut and friction under the Timken bearing test video that we have, Jen, I'm sure you've seen that one. I had my guys when they were doing the tests. It's a industrial company out in Utah, and they had a Timken bearing machine which measures the friction, and they will put a load on there, which is leveraged against a moving roller and bearing. And almost anything, and I told my guys, I said, don't use some stupid little weight. I said, make it dramatic so people watch it and they understand we're not trying to do smoke and mirrors. It's like the real deal. So they would hang a 5-pound hook and a 5-gallon bucket of water onto the end of it. And any product on the market, whether it was our gun stuff or our engine stuff, anything that they put on would seize up instantly. Our stuff will run and run and run and run and run and run. And I even told them, and it's on the highlight video, I said, do something even more extreme. And I got them to put another hook and a 60-pound bucket of bolts onto that, and it still couldn't stop the friction. So you're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds of pressure at that point of contact, and our stuff just goes. So when you understand that, and then you understand the cleaners, then you can understand the applications and on guns and knives and fishing reels and, machine guns and engines and, in the manufacturing realm for gunsmiths and stuff, especially get, maybe double to 30 times tool life with way better cuts with our machine cutting oil.
I was looking at that because I have a small machine shop in my garage. So I was like, your machine will.
Yeah, I had guys put a lot of stories, but the guy came in and he said he wanted to test our stuff, and he brought the machine cutting oil into his friend's place with a 1/2-inch thick piece of titanium. And anybody knows how hard it is to cut titanium. So the guy said, well, we'll test it, but he goes, it's all the same stuff. And he got a little shocked because he used his stuff and they cut 2 or 3 holes, and then the drill bit dulled. And then he switched a new drill bit and used our stuff, and he cut 52 or 54 holes, and they were just blown away. And I asked him, I said, did it finally wear out the drill bit? And he said, no. He said there literally was no more pieces of open metal on that plate to cut through. It looked like Swiss cheese. So you can test that yourself, very easily. And you'll see, how well it cuts, how smooth it cuts, a nice cut, nice finish on it, less wasted space and more tool life. So these are, this is not normal chemistry. We're not normal.
Not normal.
But in a good way.
That's probably the best explanation there is. You're not normal, so you fit right in here.
Thank you.
Well,
I wiped everything down. I coated it with the accuracy oil, and that's fine. But it was like, let me see. So I took the nipples out, which this gun was already cleaned, and shut up. And it is actually pulling this off. I can't even show it to you. It's in the plate, dude.
Hold on. Yeah.
Well, are you seeing more gunk come out of it?
Yeah, and this gun has been cleaned. I mean, this is been cleaned a lot. So yeah, it's actually pulling it out right now. So I'm putting I'm going to dry this off, dry the nipples off. I can't get inside oven obviously, but that's why you put a cap on and pull the trigger and blow that out. But I'm going to put some accuracy oil on the threads, and this is just pulling all kinds of crap off of this right now.
So what did
Tony, your daughter's hungry.
What did it do to the to the cylinder?
The cylinder, I think I'd already cleaned it with it, but I cleaned it anyway and wiped it down, and it's shinier, and then I put the oil on it. So let's see, because I left one alone. But I wanted to check out the nipples because I know they were dirty, and they got all kinds of gump on it. And again, this gun has been cleaned multiple times after I put it away when I saw the rust on it initially. So I'm putting, what is this? Accuracy grease. I'll put some on a little bit on a thread.
Yeah. So I would additionally put a little bit of grease on there. You don't need that much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a good application for the grease.
Cool. Yeah, we got a competition coming up on the Marine Corps birthdays on November 10th. I think on the 12th, whatever Saturday that is, we're actually having a shoot up at Cherry Ridge Range. Anybody can come. Military Historical Society is there, and I'll be probably shooting this. They told me I can't shoot my handgun on the 50-yard range anymore because it's for rifles only. But every year they have a different range officer, so I'll just pretend I didn't know. This will be year 4.
Nice.
Hey, what you'll really like on the competition shooting is once you do the application and the barrel conditioning on your guns, and by the way, if you do 3-gun like shotguns or something, I'll tell you a little bit about that. But if you treat the guns, you will not have to worry about your guns for the whole competition. Anything related to maintenance like that we affect, you're good. And even here's a really big thing, because I know you guys got followers all around the country. Most oils and lubricants, when it gets cold, the molecules tighten up and you can mess your gun performance up. Our stuff, because it becomes again like a dry lube, you can shoot it. We've been at 58 below zero in Alaska, and not too many people shoot at that temperature, but I've had Delta guys freeze guns, do everything they can, and our stuff works at any temperature. It doesn't make a difference. So we affect whatever the environment, even things like sand don't stick to it because there's nothing sticky on there. So the reliability factor is really big. And when you're doing a competition, I know you don't want to focus on cleaning and maintaining your guns. And our stuff allows you to go the whole day easily with no concerns, even if the temperature changes and everybody else's gun's not shooting. With our stuff, your gun's going to be completely fine, like it's not even cold.
Nice.
Oh, and then the shotguns. So I just had somebody contacted me like a week or two ago, and they said, hey, how can we get the plastic residue out of the shotgun? And I said, well, he said, that's an annealing thing. So you want to clean the carbon off. I said, but then you want to get that accuracy oil in there and let it sit, and it'll penetrate underneath that, and you'll be able to get it off. And he called me back the next day, and he goes, oh my gosh. He goes, it took everything right out. And he goes, then I started shooting more, and he goes, nothing's sticking. And he goes, and even the group, and I didn't think you could do this in a shotgun, but he said, even the grouping on that is tighter on a shotgun. I said, oh, that's interesting. So anyhow, you can use our stuff to, keep the guns running clean and smooth. And it doesn't matter if it's a black powder muzzle loader, it doesn't matter if it's a 50 cal machine gun, anything is going to do the same, have the same positive effects.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
well,
it seems like I've got a project now, so.
Yeah, Rusty's got projects. Tony's got projects. So I guess we're going to move it along. We're pretty close to being done. So thank you so much for coming on, Marcus, and telling everybody about all the stuff. And, Tony's, on on screen, so to speak, showing what it actually does. So that's always good. And now, he's showing dirt coming off, or carbon or whatever coming off of stuff now. So you can go watch the video and see Tony cleaning stuff, which might be a miracle. Now, we are into TacPack. And TacPack is your monthly subscription box you've been looking for. Every month you'll get a monstrous package filled with EDC, tactical, survival, and professional grade gear. In the box is at least $90 worth of gear for the low price of $49.95. This gear isn't crap they found in Buffalo Bill's basement. It's top quality stuff from top tier manufacturers, like AR parts, knives, flashlights, and cool stickers. This is gear you'll actually use, except maybe the stickers. If you're looking for even more life-changing gear, you can always upgrade to the TacPack Plus box. You can get yours today by going to TacPack.com. If you use the coupon code GUNGEAR, all one word, new subscribers will get at least an additional $70 worth of free gear that will ship separately from your first monthly TacPack. Now, if you subscribe by October 31st to receive the November box, and November standard box has $125 worth of gear, and the November Plus box has a total value of $255. And all that can be found at TacPack.com. And I didn't see any listener feedback, so the only stuff we have is Tony's daughter saying she's hungry. So I guess that means that we got to move along. But that gives Tony a chance to tell us all about his diversity shoot.
Our next diversity shoot is tomorrow at Recoil Range in Monroe, New Jersey from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can go on Eventbrite, because you should subscribe to Tony Simon on Eventbrite, and that way you'll get notified no matter where you are that tickets are on sale. Also, the event after that one, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be on the Marine Corps birthday, November 10th, at the Heritage Guild in Easton, PA. Cool thing about Easton, we can shoot machine guns there, and we have them. We started a new tradition because I got tired of everybody burning through my 9mm like it's free. If you want to shoot the Uzi or the MP5, you can purchase ammo from the range itself and can shoot to your heart's content. Also, we're going to have Joe from Shooting Gallery New England. He's going to be out, so he's going to actually make a guest appearance, so I think that's awesome. He's actually driving down to PA just to attend a diversity shoot. So if you want to see two of the largest pound-for-pound gun bunnies in America, come to the November 10th event at the Heritage Guild in Easton, PA, and be a part of the Second Is for Everyone diversity shoot there. Thank you. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to donate, please do go to diversityshoot.com and support the work we do. Because SHOT Show is coming up. I got the giveaway I'm working on. It's working on the wording of the giveaway so it doesn't get pulled off of Patreon. So please go to patreon.com. We're going to kick that in, and we're going to do a SB3 tactical brace giveaway just in time for them to try to make it illegal because, well, I don't care what they do. And we're going to give it to someone and send it out. And if you want to register it as an SBR, you go ahead and do that. All right, so that's what we're doing. Please support the work we do. Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show and allowing me to talk about this every week. I really do appreciate it.
And since Tony said to send him stuff, because he has that one on the 10th, I think boxes of crayon are in order.
You jerks.
Thanks, Tony. And also, thank you, Marcus, again. So we'll wrap it up here. So you can send questions, comments, or feedback to us at gungearreview@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review somewhere. Check out all the other great shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.net. Be sure to visit the Firearms Insider at firearmsinsider.tv. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Firearms Insider. And as always, thank you for listening to the largest pound-for-pound podcast on the network. And we are out.
Remember, Epstein did not kill himself.